Hello, this is Alchemist with an amazing new build option for the new Mothkeepers Wraps. This arc build will have infinite uptime on grenades, melees, and dodges all at once, all while increasing your super energy to a crazy amount. Not only that, but this build also boasts an amazing amount of survivability for what it's providing. But without further ado, let's get into it. Mothkeepers have a perk called Winged Eclipse. Your grenade becomes a cage of loyal moths that release on impact and fly towards the nearest target or ally. If they reach a target, they detonate in a blinding explosion, and if they reach an ally, the moths grant your ally a void overshield. Now these moths react differently depending on if you're in the vicinity or not. If you are farther away, the grenade will turn into two arc moths that seek out and attack enemies instead of one arc moth and one overshield void moth. If you are farther away from enemies, then they turn into two void moths that give you and your friends overshields. This is also based on how much overshields you have already. But with that out the way, let's get into the build. So we're on Arc Shredder class, and we're going to check out its aspects, fragments, and abilities that we're going to go into. So we're using Gathering Storm, of course, to hurl our arc staff forward. You know what I'm saying? It's the highest damage super. Why aren't we using it? Next up is Gambler's Dodge. Basically, we're going to use it to combo with Combination Blow, which basically hitting our melee will, each melee kill will refund a Gambler's Dodge, essentially is what's going to happen. This is optional, but I do like the triple jump. Grenades are also optional. Cooldowns do not matter when using this exotic, which is what I recently found out, so do not worry about this. Now it's up to the important part, which is the aspects. We're using Lethal Current, which basically means that after dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge range and jolts the target, which creates a damaging aftershock. Damaging any jolted target with the melee will also blind them, which gives us more opportunities to do damage. Next up is Flow State, which means that defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. And basically when we're amplified, our dodge recharges more quickly and we're more resilient while dodging. Our reload speed is also increased greatly. Next up is Spark of Amplitude. For our fragments, rapidly defeating while you're amplified creates an Orb of Power. So this is our first source of Orbs of Power. Taking brief damage will increase our outgoing melee damage as well. This is just also another amazing plus 10 resilience boost, which means that you don't have to add an armor mod for this. Next up is defeating a jolted target creates an Ionic Trace. And the next one is Spark of Resistance. That's while surrounded by combatants, we're more resistant to incoming damage. So these are the few fragments that are resistance allows us to keep alive when we're using our melee, which is why we're using it, because it allows us to have even more damage resistance when we have our overshield up. But that's our aspects, ability, and fragments. Let's check out our mods. We'll actually go here. So because we don't need any mods, because we don't need any extra mods because we got beneficial stats or a beneficial stat bump, we have two hands-on. To our hands-on, so basically each melee kill will give us bonus super energy, and our harmonic siphon will allow us to gain an orb of power based on our melee final blows. So basically this is our second source of orbs of power, so we have two currently now. Then we have Mothkeepers Wraps, we have our mobility mod, we then have grenade kickstart. So basically whenever we expend when we expend a grenade, we gain energy for that grenade if we use this mod. And so basically our armor charge is also consumed, so we also use this as well. We also use heavy-handed, which is basically our powered melee final blows create an orb of power. So this is our third way of creating another orb of power, and this is with just one melee. Next up is our Red Moon Phantom with our vests, our chest piece. So we have triple charged up, so that way we can have 6 armor mod slots to choose from, or not choose from, but to gain. So that way our grenade kickstart goes a lot faster. Next up is our leg piece, which is 3 innervations. We're just trying to keep our grenade cooldown as low as possible, and these reduce our grenade cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power, in which we have 3 sources of that going on. Next up, but not least, is our Reaper mod. So this is our fourth way of using our or getting an orb of power by dodging and using our combination blow melee. This means that after using our class ability, our next final weapon blow spawns an orb of power. We're then topping it off with bomber, which means that every time we do use our dodge, we do reduce our grenade cooldown even further. So we do have an opportunity to spam that out even more. Now for our weapons, I generally prefer a 1-2 punch shotgun. We are meleeing around, and that's going to be our primary source of damage. We also have Exteris, which is also a pretty good option. Every time this weapon gains a final blow, we also get a Void Overshield mod to us, as well as the Arc mod that attacks people. So that's cool. And to top it off, we just have the Wendigo GL3. You can switch this out with a rocket launcher if you see a galley on your team. But overall, this is a pretty good build. For weapon choices, if you don't like Exteris, you can probably go with, what is it called? Go with the Void Shotgun, the heavy Void Shotgun that increases debuffs, the scientific method. You can tell me the name of it down and below in the comments. But you could use that. But other than that, I think this is it. That's the game. So the game plan when it comes to using this build is you first use your first grenade to create an overshield. You go in, you melee, you gain orbs of power, and you regain your grenade back. You then throw your grenade far away to kind of deal arc damage against enemies. And if you're running low on health, you have an emergency grenade just to protect yourself with. And that's the gameplay loop. But with that said, that's all. And this is Alchemist, out.